Whether you've just bought a house or you're getting ready to move into a new apartment, facing an empty space can be an overwhelming task. Everyone has felt that when they're getting ready to move. What if I told you there's a 3-step process that you can break it down into to make that less overwhelming for anyone who's getting ready to move into a new space and you're just trying to figure out what to do first? Before you get excited about looking at mood boards and picking out your style, go for the 3 big spaces that you care about most. And for most people, that's a living room, a dining room, and a bedroom. Now, you could have a lot more spaces than that, but we're going to focus on those first 3. You're going to think about how you need to use those spaces just for 5 minutes each. And what I mean by that is, you've got a living room, but how do you want to use that room? Do you want to watch TV? Do you want to have a table in there for eating? In your bedroom, do you need to have a desk in there to work at? So these are the kind of questions you want to think about before you start floor planning. The first step for each room is you're going to want to measure the length and width of it. And if you're moving into a new house, or even sometimes an existing house, your realtor may have drawings where you don't have to measure this all out from scratch. Get the dimensions of each of those 3 spaces, and you're going to want to mark out where the doors and windows are before you start trying to figure out where the furniture is going to go. I did a whole nother video about how to floor plan on paper. So you can either do it on a piece of paper or you can do it in a free tool. Once you have the rooms measured, go through your furniture that you already have in your house and think about which pieces you really like and you definitely want to keep. And you want to get measurements of all those and make a list. Now, if you have pieces that you're not sure you're going to want to keep, make a separate list of those pieces, but I would also measure them because I think it's a good idea to move into your space with the items that you already have. And then once you're there, you can sell off pieces that you don't want, but you might need those temporarily. If you have extra time, it's okay to go ahead and let those things go or sell the things on Facebook Marketplace that you know you don't want to take with you. I like to play around with the furniture that I know I'm going to want to keep in each one of the rooms, just so I can get kind of an idea where I want it to go so that I know exactly what to tell the movers when they come. Oh, I want the bed on this wall. Or, oh, I want the couch on that wall. Because those pieces are heavy and I don't want to have to move them myself. You can start to think about the more interesting parts, which is, what kind of look do I want this space to have? How do I want it to feel? What do I want the style to be? It's a good idea to get some inspiration photos and figure out kind of what style you're leaning toward. If you have absolutely no idea, you can take the style quiz that I put together. You can also just go to Pinterest or Instagram and pick out a bunch of pictures that you like and start broad, but make sure that when you're looking at these inspiration photos, the ones that you're picking are not photos that you really love the architectural feature of the photo more than you do the decorations. You don't want to pick things with 12-foot vaulted ceilings that you just love the way that living room looks and your living room has 8-foot ceilings. So then you want to try to narrow down your images for each of those 3 core rooms and pick 5 that you really like. And this is where you really start to see a lot of patterns recurring. You start to see colors and pieces and textures that you like in these photos over and over. And that kind of helps you narrow down your vision. But just remember, as you're looking at these pictures and doing all this planning, your space is 100% going to change. The best way to really change the space is once you're living in it. One thing I haven't talked about is painting and color on the walls. The chances are pretty high that the person who owned it before you painted everything in a pretty neutral color. And I don't like to paint before I move in unless there's a crazy color on the wall, like my house had a purple bedroom. Get to know the rooms with the furniture that I have before I really start figuring out, ooh, I don't like this. In order for the whole home to have kind of a cohesive feeling to it, color is a big part of that. And when you're picking your color palette, it's a good idea to pick some colors from one room to the next that overlap a little bit. For example, you might have blue and green in your living room, and your dining room might be blue and black. You have some colors that overlap in the spaces, especially the ones where you can see from one space to another. I did another video about how to choose a whole home color palette. So when you're building your mood board, I like to have one thing on the mood board that is the inspiration for the room, and that helps to set their color palette. And that can be a rug. That can be fabric for some drapes. That can be fabric on a piece of upholstery, or it can be a piece of art. And I like to use that thing to help set the color palette for the room. But if it's a neutral backdrop, then you can really do anything with the decor. So now that you know you've got your floor plan, you've got kind of your inspiration, now you can kind of pull the things together onto a mood board for each one of the 3 main spaces. And in a mood board, you're going to start to think about your color palette, and that is always going to include the things in the room that cannot be changed. That might be the wood floors, it might be the countertops, it might be moldings, it will be the wall color, so what is already there. And then you want to start to put in the furnishings that you want to go in that room so you can kind of see how all the things come together. And this is where you're going to start making a 3rd list. So you've got your first list of items I definitely want to keep. Then you've got your list of furniture that I'm not sure I want to keep, but I know the sizes of it. And then you've got your list of furniture that I probably need for this space. I like to avoid buying a bunch of new pieces before I move in, because I like to live in the space. So the 3 things I do are floor plan for the big 3 rooms, I get my inspiration, and I put together a mood board just for those 3 rooms. 3 things that I always replace in any new space are the window treatments, because they almost never can move with your things. I always replace the lighting, because lighting is like the jewelry in a room, and I think it adds so much, and I have replaced every light fixture in my house. And the 3rd thing is the rug. And that is one thing that I will buy before I move, is a new rug that fits the space.